Not all protests are equal. Let's have a look. Hello everyone, Florian.Heise here, and welcome to another episode of HeiseSays. Grab your stein of coffee because we're going to have a look at the protest that occurred at Melbourne. A protest where let's just jump straight into it and look at how the media is talking about this, because it's fitting. Anti-lockdown protesters clash with police in Melbourne. Melbourne and Sydney anti-lockdown protests, violent clashes as police arrest demonstrators. Police officers injured, 235 arrested in Melbourne protest. Anti-lockdown protests, or pictures, in Melbourne, Sydney and Adelaide. Angry young men. Just remember that. Angry young men. 235 arrested. 10 police officers injured in Melbourne anti-lockdown protests. Police arrest 235 from SBS. 700 arrested at Melbourne anti-lockdown protests that left Victorian police officers in hospital. 10 police injured. More than 200 arrests in anti-lockdown protests from The Age. Melbourne anti-lockdown protesters and police clash from The Telegraph. 6 officers in hospital. 1 million in fines dished out after ugly protest from the Herald Sun. Melbourne protesters charge police lines, violent clashes at Queensland Freedom Rally from Sky News. Al Jazeera, hundreds arrested in Australian anti-lockdown protests. The Age. Gallery, chaos, violence as protesters flood streets of Melbourne's inner east. The Independent, Australian police clash with anti-lockdown protesters as violence flares in Melbourne and Sydney. Let's have a look at some of the images from this protest, of the violent clashes with police as the police forced the protesters or cordoned them off and started pepper spraying. Wait a minute, I've made a mistake. This isn't that protest. When's this protest from? Just a few days ago in Melbourne. This is the tradie tea room protest, or at least that's how optically that's how it comes across. I suspect there are also many who are frustrated with the vax mandates that are coming through to the construction industry. But for a lot of people, not being able to have your break in the tea room, in the crib room, it's a small price to pay for still being able to work. There's so many people that aren't able to work. And of course, these were much more organized protests. Much more organised, and you can see images of them getting out of the way of ambulances, but they still disrupted the city. And how was it covered by the media? Where's the police crackdown on this? I guess maybe there's a relationship between the unions and the government in Victoria. Just maybe. I mean, do you all get lunch breaks? I guess it's a bit different when you're on site. But these are the images of the Melbourne protest. Now, here's the thing to consider. How many of these guys, these blokes, tradies, do you think went to both protests? I bet you a lot of them did. I bet you there'd be a lot of crossover. And one thing here that, there's no police response. And the other, well, there is quite a police response. They broke through the lines. They were pepper spraying them. There's footage out there that we've all seen. Now, whether you agree or disagree with the protesters, the question is, why the difference? Guys, why the difference? Why the difference? Not all protests are equal. We've seen this again and again and again. We saw it in Perth. We saw it with the other protests that have happened throughout the year. With the Anzac Day marches being banned, with the BLM protests, with the climate activist protests. It really seems that if you're on one side of the political spectrum, they let you protest. There's no police intervention. There's no rubber bullets at this one. Where's the tear gas here? Where's the capsicum spray to disperse them? Now, obviously, this is a more controlled protest. These people are being directed, they're being managed, where this isn't so much a controlled protest. This is fear playing out here. Welcome to Australia, everyone. I don't think the government is going to respond to this protest. I don't think they'll want to show a sign of weakness. That's kind of why the police are, probably going so strict, shall we say, with how they're enforcing compliance to dissuade people from partaking in these. Why shouldn't they do the same for this? Protest is a protest. Maybe if the police didn't intervene and cordon off the people, it wouldn't have gotten so messy. So yes, not all protests are equal, everyone. What do you think? We're seeing this more and more, aren't we? Hopefully this will be the last time. So what's the solution or the takeaway here? Make sure you have the right political connections if you're going to protest. Is that the takeaway? Is that the solution? Protest with picnic tables? Get union backing for your protest? Have more political power in your groups? Here's the thing with the Freedom Day protests. It's a very, mixed group of people that are protesting this. I wouldn't say there's any cohesive political will there. There's just people that are frustrated, people that are desperate. Sure, there'll be some there that are, trying to start a fight. There always are at these things. But there are going to be some people who've lost their business and are feeling hopeless. And there are also some nutcases who think you can imagine any type of crazy story there. Yeah. It's frustrating. Let me know your thoughts on this one, guys. Like, share, subscribe to the channel. Take care.